So thank you for coming. This is great to see such a turnout. For those of you online, we have about 40 people in the room, maybe 15 online at the moment. This is the kickoff to roll into spring bike week. This was inspired sort of by Kim Fry, who's organizing a bunch of events associated with the Junos this week. She reached out to us. We thought, oh, we also want to do some events. We put them together. Coffee Outside's doing a coffee later this week. So we kind of have this full week of bike events, which the timing of spring being right in the middle of that is great. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justine McMillan. I'm a board member with the Halifax Cycling Coalition, and I'm going to be the host for tonight. So I'll get into Slido in a second. It's just a way to ask questions anonymously. If you're interested, you can also post in the chat or in the room. So just kind of lots of ways to engage, but I'll talk about that in a moment. We do have some people monitoring the chat. So if you can't hear us or anything like that, please let us know and we'll try to adapt as we go. So first, we want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded and traditional homeland of the Mi'kmaq people. And specifically, we want to acknowledge that in order to live and ride in this region in HRM, Indigenous people were removed, displaced, and killed. I personally think about this often when I commute to work. I pass Tufts Cove and Shannon Park, which was once Turtle Grove. And those people were displaced after the Halifax explosion. And I wonder what it would look like today if that didn't happen. So the house rules for tonight, I tried to design this sort of like speed dating. I've never done speed dating, but this is how I imagine it would go. Come on in. So we have 11 groups. I'll probably end up presenting on behalf of Kim Fry. She had something come up, but we have 11 groups. They're listed on the board here. Each group is going to get 5 minutes and exactly 5 minutes. You can take less, but you can't take more. I'll be sitting in the chair here. I'll give a warning when 4 minutes and 30 seconds has passed, just to tell you to tie things up. Then I'm going to ring a bike bell at 5 minutes, and then we're going to switch. So the time it takes to switch, we're not going to include. I'll start the timer as soon as you start to speak. And as I quickly mentioned at the start, questions and discussion are going to be questions and discussion will be reserved for the end, but please post them as you think about them. So you might have a question for one of the early groups, post it in the chat or post it on Slido if you prefer to be anonymous, and then we can kind of come back to those at the end. So Slido, if you haven't used it before, it's something I use sometimes through work. It's a great way to kind of have audience engagement. You can scan the QR code with your phone or go to slido.com. It works on both a phone and a browser. What you should see is this middle panel here. So I've created one poll to start. What events are you most excited about this summer? It's a word cloud, so you can fill in anything you want. Hopefully we'll get some things popping up as the night goes through. You can add to it as you hear about a new event that might interest you. If you are online, I did post the link as well in the chat, and the QR code will come up a few times throughout the night if you happen to miss it. And then importantly, I just wanted to highlight there's this Q&A tab at the top. So you can click that if you want to ask a question anonymously. And you should be able to see a list of the previous questions. So I've pre-populated one here. If you like a question someone else has already asked, you can give it a thumbs up, and then it should sort the questions by rank. So we can always make sure we're answering the questions that are the most popular. So we'll give that a try. It might work, it might not work. We're just gonna roll with it. Yeah, so I think let's get started. And I'll time myself. I know I will take about 5 minutes, but in fairness, I will time myself.
You move the chat window down so we can scan.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. And clock. All right, so as I said, I am part of the Halifax Cycling Coalition, also known as HCC. We are a nonprofit working to improve the conditions for cycling for the residents of Halifax Regional Municipality through 3 main focus areas: advocacy, events, and education. We have 9 board members, so 8 elected members and 1 ex officio member. We are all volunteers. We currently have no paid staff. This is something that has changed in recent years, but we have our fingers crossed that we will have at least one summer student, maybe two, one. We do also hire contractors for certain events if we have funding available. So that allows us to do a little bit more. In addition to the 9 of us that sit on the board, we have other volunteers that sit on our various committees or help out with events or do marshalling for some of the rides. And we have about 120 community members at the moment who contribute financially, either in a monthly donation or an annual donation. And so in addition to those membership fees, we also get donations from other organizations, and a big part of our funding comes from government grants for specific programming. So our first focus area is advocacy. We have a dedicated advocacy committee and project teams. They meet regularly and discuss certain projects that are going on in the city. So for example, there's one currently for the McDonald Bridge flyover, or potentially lack thereof. We participate at municipal level in presentations as stakeholders and also providing recommendations. So that's in the form of various committees, as well as meeting with municipal staff. We have a newly created Dartmouth District Advocacy Committee. So this is a committee of volunteers from Dartmouth who have specific concerns about their neighborhood. They're meeting to try to kind of focus on that area, and we hope to make one for Spryfield and Bedford as well. We are in the process of forming a municipal elections committee to prepare for the elections this fall, and we work to build coalition with other advocacy groups in Halifax. The second focus area are events. So our biggest event of the year is the I Light Halifax ride, which takes place in November. Last year, we had 220 people come out, which was amazing. We all light up our bikes and ride through the city together, and there's prizes for kind of the best, most creative light display. In the past, we've done Winter Bike Week. This year, we kind of opted for this roll into spring instead. We've done bike valets at various events like the Blue Nose Marathon or Wanderers Games, and largely kind of our main events are done through facilitating with other partners. So some of the groups you'll hear tonight, we've worked with them. We also work with the Cycling Without Age out of the Northwood Care Centre. And our third focus is education. So this is very much informal for the most part. So we provide a monthly newsletter that lists kind of the advocacy projects that we're working on, as well as events that are going on by us or by various different organizations. And so if you're not subscribed to that, please subscribe to that. At events in the summer, typically like the Multicultural Fest, Open Streets, we'll have information tent set up with some handouts. People will typically come up and just talk to us about cycling in Halifax. It's pretty interesting to hear what they have to say. Often it's, how do I get from A to B? Like that's kind of a lot of the education and advice that we're giving out. And we do have official handbooks like the cycling handbook that's written in 7 different languages. In the past, we've done safety courses. This has been a bit hard with our current resource of volunteers. And so as I've mentioned a couple of times, we are volunteer-based and we really could use some help. We have a lot of things we want to do, but there's only so much we can do. A lot of us work full-time. So this is something we kind of do on the side, and we'd love to have more involvement from the community. So different ways to do that. You can become a board member. Our AGM is in May. You can become a volunteer that's not a board member. So you can sit on a committee, learn about what's going on in your community. You can help with events. If you have website experience, we'd love to talk to you. Our website's definitely a bit outdated, and we could always use help with communication, social media, newsletter type stuff. If none of that suits you, you could also be a community member. Little as $5, $10 a month would really help us a lot and allow you the bit of a better opportunity to express your concerns, and then we can represent you a little bit better. And so with that, it's 5 minutes. So lots of ways to get in touch with us. And I'll end it there. Thanks.
We have a co-presenter joining us virtually, so we're just going to get her set up.
Can you hear me, Jen?
Hey, we can hear you. We don't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay. Are we good to go?
Unless we can figure out how to see you, but if you're okay with, we can all hear you, which is the most important part.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jillian. I'm one of the co-conspirators for Kidical Mass Halifax, and I think Jen and Katie are there with you in the room. So we are just presenting an overview of who we are and what we do. I don't think I need to say anything else here, Jen, if you want to advance the slide.
Perfect.
So for those of you who have not come across Kidical Mass yet, this is an international movement, and I'm going to read out this quote so that you know we're kind of legit. So from big cities to rural areas, we as the Kidical Mass Action Alliance are united by the vision that children and young people should be able to move around safely and independently on foot and by bike. Safe streets and active mobility for children and young people is the key to the mobility transition. Children who are active by bike and on foot from an early age remain so as adults. With our campaigns, we paint a positive picture of the future and make change tangible.
Thanks, Jillian. So we started Kidical Mass Halifax in 2022. My son was 3 at the time and was fast and furious on his balance bike. In addition to all the reasons that come from Kidical Mass International, I also realized that the independence factor that can come with getting around on your own as a child, whether that's walking or cycling. And I was really starting to feel like our city cycling infrastructure was not keeping up with my child's independence. So that's was born Kidical Mass Halifax. So we're a combination of protest and community building. Our rides are family focused and we're completely volunteer organized and supported. And we're really careful about our route planning, so they should be comfortable for everybody. There's lots of community opportunities with our rides as well. So our pictures are a really nice example of what a ride looks like, but a little bit more detail as well. So we're riding on local streets, we're riding on multi-use pathways. We're also at times riding on main roads, often for very short stretches. We've got kids on their own bikes, and this is a really unique opportunity for families to ride together because oftentimes if you're riding with a young child, they're on the sidewalk and you're on the road, or you're on the sidewalk illegally with them, or you're sticking to the multi-use pathways and the trails. So this is our opportunity for families to ride together for a few kilometers, starting and ending at kid-oriented spaces, so parks and playgrounds, and all with the help of our incredible ride leaders and ride marshals. And most importantly, for a lot of the kids and families, there are prizes and snacks and lots of fun at the end of every ride. So 2023 was our biggest season yet. It saw us visiting 6 different neighborhoods through from May through to the end of October. We had over 645 participants, and they range from, I would say, under 12 months to probably upwards of 80. So pretty cool to see the whole lifespan represented in our rides. One of the things that was really important to us as a team is to always get some evaluation and some feedback from our community to see if our needs are needing what they're kind of looking for. So our survey at the end of our season this year brought a lot of great feedback about some things that we thought were great too, and then also some areas for us to work on. But overall, you can see some of the highlights for us were around just kind of the feelings that people had from the ride. Jen said, you know, around building community, people seeing other people moving their families and moving their kids through the city the same way they were choosing to, which sometimes in your own commute, you might not run into that. But when we all move in mass, it's nice for the kiddos to see other kids choosing that mode of transportation as well. And then that sense of safely being able to take over the road as well was exciting for a lot of people. This year we had some great support from local businesses as well. and local organizations to present prizes. As Jen said, the highlights for most of the kids, when you ask them what they love, it's usually the prizes and the snacks and the playgrounds, which is great for us. And we also received last year some funding through some of the HRM counselors funds. So this year, what we're in for are 6 rides planned through May through October again. And we're looking at some other satellite rides, because we know that within those 6 rides, we're not visiting all the communities within HRM, and we'd like to see how we can do that. So one of the pieces that we're looking for in order to meet that need are, of course, more folks from their area. So we rely on people in their local areas to be familiar with their roads and with their routes in order to be ride leaders and take us through different communities. So that's one way that people get involved, as well as marshaling to helping us along the route. This year, we're looking at some of those older age groups of kiddos who maybe riding along in a big group isn't radical enough. We want to get them involved in different ways. And so we're looking, how can we involve some of those kind of older kids and teens? And as well, the snacks are just outrageous and we need help. That's it. All right. So that's how you can reach us. Great.
All right. Hello, my name is Matt Stickland, and I am the president of the Legal Road Users Bicycle Club. Unlike a lot of the other groups you are going to hear from, we are explicitly a protest group because we are just tired of being unsafe on HRM roads. And there are a lot of really fun gray areas in the rules as written where you can have fun if you have a lawyer who is really cool about say, scaling up protests in a way to get in trouble that could potentially force change in the judiciary. So if you're interested in that, that's mainly what we're focused on. However, we also do a lot of other fun things. Starting in May, we're going to be doing group rides in from Cole Harbour to the Wanderers game, taking advantage of the HCC's bike valet when we do. Also have probably discounted tickets for that. We're also going to do some less coercive protests. For example, the HRM builds infrastructure as though they plan for no cyclists to actually use it. How do we know that? Because if cyclists were to use the infrastructure as built in the volume that the HRM is predicting, it would be chaos. How much chaos? We don't know. We'll find out this summer. If you want to find out too, you can find us on our Discord, legalroadusers.ca. Right now, that's our only real public presence beyond Blue Sky, but we're slowly building up. We too suffer from a lack of volunteers. Even though we do have nerdy volunteers who can build websites, they're busy. We are also, as you can tell, kind of playing on the motorcycle aesthetics. A lot of the things that we're going to do as well, we're not just causing trouble, we're having fun as well. One of our members is going to start up poker runs this summer. For those who don't know what a poker run is, you essentially ride to 5 different spots. You get 5 different cards. You meet at a clubhouse. You have poker hands. Whoever wins, wins. Yeah, beyond that, please come to our, oh yeah, sorry, membership. I'm wearing this cool shirt. I don't know if you can see it online. Right now, our membership costs $25. That is the price of the shirt. You can be a member and just have the shirt and ride around. That's totally cool with us. What we really want is people being visible in these shirts. So it's kind of a sense of, hey, these are all these people who are upset enough. And then even if it's only 5 or 6 of us actually doing things, it looks like it's hundreds. And the more t-shirts we sell, the more we can offer pay what you can or just free membership to those who can't afford it. So we would ask that if you can afford $25 for a t-shirt or more, please pay at least $25 for a t-shirt so those who can't afford it can be part of the group too. Because being safe on HRM roads shouldn't cost $60,000 or 25 for this case. So yeah, we're just trying to make our roads better because it is just hurts my soul at this point. Like, come on. Anyways. So yeah, that's me. So Matt Stickland, Legal Road Users Bicycle Club. You can find us right now, legalroadusers.ca. Again, that's a Discord. All of our events, all of our planning, if you want to get involved, questions, we'll have roadside assistance starting in April or May for people who get, that'll depend on whenever my truck gets here. That'll be pay what you can as well. But you would request that in Legal Road. Essentially, our Discord is kind of like our communications hub at this point. And then in the summer, as we roll out more, if you're following us, yeah. I got nothing else. So if anyone has any questions, save them for the end. And coffee outside is up next. You come here and run this. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta go around this way.
Okay.
Right.
I'll scooch in.
that
I'll
works.
scooch in.
Cool. All right, we're Coffee Outside Halifax. For those who aren't aware of what that is, it's a, for the most part, Thursday meetup at 7 a.m. and somewhere in a park in Nova Scotia. You can see by a couple of example photos here. It's mostly bike based, but not restricted to only cyclists. And it's also coffee based, but not restricted to only coffee drinkers.
It's very, very informal. If you're, looking at our presentation, our slides, it's really just, there's really not that much organization that goes into it other than saying we're meeting at a specific park this week. But I
Yeah.
guess, Jay, how did this start?
2019, one of the folks who helps organize Dylan, he was just posting in the, I don't know if it's still around or not, there's like a Facebook group that was really big for a while, the Halifax Cycling one. It might still be, anyway, but he was just posting in there that he wanted to do it, and he picked a day, and it was a Thursday, and we just stuck with it. But it's a YouTube channel, Pathless Pedaled. They're more spread across the US. There's a map that has like all the different ones across mostly the US. There's a few over in Europe as well, but they're weekly coffee meetups, and they're kind of different scales in different places. Some places supply coffee. We do not, but if you showed up with nothing, I would make you a coffee. Yeah,
Yeah, oftentimes it being a thing where most people are getting up, between 6 and 7 to make it out. There's usually someone who's forgotten something anyway. I've personally been guilty of that. I don't know. We're getting close to about half the times I've been there. It's kind of the cyclist mentality of everyone's going to kind of help each other out and get each other caffeinated in the morning.
Yeah, but it's a great spot to meet other cyclists. Some people are more cycling, some people are a little bit more coffee. It's definitely more the cycling nowadays, especially. But yeah, it's a good spot to meet other cycling folks. That's our Instagram at the top. It's mostly just posting where the location is going to be. We try to post it on Monday or Tuesday. The worse the weather's looking for Thursday, the longer we'll wait to post the location, because when it's raining, as you can see in the far left photo, we try to pick somewhere with cover. Now, it's also raining in the photo on the right, but that's on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So that was a special ride we did with
Patagonia.
We did a beach cleanup. So there are some one-off different events that we'll do.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're kind of working towards this year. Now that there's a lot of regulars, and we've kind of established it as being a Thursday thing. You get a bunch of people on bikes together, and everyone starts coming up with ideas every morning. One of those, shout out Monthly Cycle Halifax, that was kind of something that came of just people meeting and hanging out and talking about bikes and coffee and stuff. And look at what they've done. We're still here just brewing coffee, but some other stuff that we've done, last year we did a short cleanup. That's Shannon Park. Got mentioned earlier, Tufts Cove. We kind of met up. Patagonia dropped some short cleanup bags off. We had a little coffee brew, had a little chit chat, then walked around and filled those bags up with quite a good deal of garbage.
Yeah, more than I expected for sure.
Yeah, really. It gets kind of hidden in there, but the more you look, the more there is. So that's some of the stuff we're looking to do more of this year, whether that's, rides a little bit further out of the city, whether that's, more kind of opportunities to give back and clean up the parks that we enjoy. But really, if any or all of the above, parks, bikes, coffee, being up early, apply to you. We're more than happy to have you. And again, there's not really a huge level of commitment and volunteering. It's just a space to meet people that you're probably going to get along with.
Yeah, typically try to go to Dartmouth once a month, and we go Halifax area for the other ones. We'll sometimes go towards the Dingle, sometimes maybe go towards Bedford a bit. But yeah, kind of spread it out, always open to new ideas. Pretty much the only requirement for a coffee outside location is nobody will be mad that we're there, and there's hopefully a table or a ledge to make coffee on. We'll remove the table or ledge requirement if the spot is good enough. Like Citadel Hill, we just made do with making coffee on the deck.
Yeah,
ground there,
a big rock will usually suffice too. As long as some people can kind of crowd around it, it's all pretty good.
Yeah, so that's about it. Come on out some Thursday morning. This week is first one, Point Pleasant Park. It might be a little bit wet, but
could be a little bit cold. But I mean,
we'll see what happens.
I think the people are excited for it, so hopefully you'll see some of you guys out there.
Yeah,
awesome.
Cool. I thought it was that middle slide at the top.
Hi, I'm Steve McKay. I'm the bike mayor of Halifax. You might be thinking, hey, I didn't vote for you. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. They don't have to suffer through that awful joke. So I know online is a Jillian with Kidical Mass, and she was the previous bike mayor, and I think she did a really wonderful job, and I kind of wanted to keep that going. And so what it is it's working with Bikes. It's an international organization based out of Amsterdam, and it's kind of a network of bike mayors all over the world, kind of providing support for each other and guidance and things like that. So I like to help out and promote different events that are going on around the city, and to do a couple of my own. And actually this year, one thing that I'd like to do is, and this is just kind of getting started, is I'd like to do little tourist rides so we could be tourists in our own city. Oh, I'm too tall. And so what I would like to do is about half a dozen rides led by different people throughout the city. And I would like to see theme rides. So maybe if you're into cemeteries, maybe a cemetery tour of different places around the city. So maybe start at Camp Hill over here and go around to the different cemeteries around the city. It doesn't have to be grim like that. It could be, you mentioned rocks. You get a big rock, go find your favorite big rocks. Whatever you're into, you could make that into a bike ride. And if you could lead people around and tell them about these things you're into, I think that would be really nice for a couple of reasons. It's always fun to share joy, whether that's the joy of cycling or the joy of whatever else brings you joy. It's also good to look at the routes to get from one place to another that aren't necessarily connected by the bike network. You guys heard of those, right? So yeah, to find out, where the weaknesses are the worst in our city for getting around. And so I'd like to work with some people, and maybe it could be you, to come up with routes that are safe and inclusive, and go around the city and see things. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, I like working with the Kidical Mass folks. I think they do a great job. And yeah, I think that's it.
Dal Bike is next.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kimberly,
I'm Rob.
and we're the co-presidents of the Dal Bike Center. So we're students at Dal, bike enthusiasts, and we have a focus on providing bicycle-related resources to students, faculty, and staff. We want to lower barriers to make cycling easier and more accessible for the students at Dalhousie. And we love biking because it's healthy, sustainable, and fun. So we provide weekly bike loans for students. We have a repair shop connected to the Studley Gym, if you know anything about Dal campus. So we also have a repair space with paid mechanics that will guide you through. It's not like a drop off your bike, they fix it type deal. It's more like bike again.
Yeah, like
where you
shadow bike again.
work on your bike and they just kind of give you tips. We also,
I was gonna say, and the repair space is like completely open, like we're focused Dal community for some stuff, but that is anyone and everyone is welcome and encouraged.
And then we also have a recycle program. So we realized that people were going to Facebook Marketplace asking us like, how do I know which ones are good? And sometimes you have to fix them up. So we wanted to kind of cut those issues. And instead we accepted donations and then we will fix them up and then we sell them to students for really cheap pricing. So if you guys have a bike You can drop them off. You can just donate it fully, or we do have a compensation that they can discuss with the mechanics, and they'll kind of find a quote. It's always like under $100 because we're trying to give them cheap, so we're not going to buy expensive bikes, but that's that program. And then we also have events. So we work with we have varying lengths around the HRM. We do scavenger hunts, and then sometimes we'll do a little pit stops and play games of ultimate frisbee or spike ball. We had skate nights and craft nights, and we love to collab with different organizations around around Halifax as well.
So bring it.
So here are just some pictures of the different rides that we've done. So that one in the bottom left corner was a women's ride where we collabed with Decathlon and did a bike and climb. We had a little like Christmas event. We were just going around giving people like bike lights and bike reflective gear and stuff. And those are just some different rides in different locations. We also did fat bike trips in Mahone Bay, where you have the big tires and you go over snow. That one's fun. We also care a lot about accessibility. So currently we're working with Dalhousie to get a satellite center on Sexton campus that would actually be like right outside the doors where you see the like blue like shipping containers. We want that to now be a repair center. So again, that would help. Sometimes like it's a barrier just to have to get to our repair shop. So we want to just make the more repair shops around, the more accessible fixing your bike is and all that. We also have a trike for those who have impairments to balance, or we knew that we were working with another society on campus who gives out food to students, and they were driving the food from Studley to Sexton. So they're working with us to trike all the food around. And then we also are working with companies that modify bikes. So if people need to have modifications to help make their bikes more accessible, then there's some programs, and we will offer like bursaries to help like afford that, which gets into bursaries where we have also previously offered bursaries such as the tip to tip. If it's a barrier affording that, then we just want people to be able to experience things. So yeah, that is all I have for the slideshow. Is there any other?
Our Instagram is Bike at Dal.
And then we have a website, dalbikecenter.ca, with a bunch of details on that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I am Nicola. I am one of the organizers of the monthly cycle. There are two other organizers that are here with me today. Maybe can you put your hands up? You can come stand here if you want to keep company, but Colleen and Jesse are the two wonderful people who helped me organize the monthly cycle. I just want to say off the top that it's like really awesome to be here, and there's so many cool bike groups doing really rad stuff. And there's so many people in this room, like way more than I expected, and people online. And this is just, it's great to be here. It was a beautiful day, and there were so many people out on their bikes today, and I'm feeling very energized by that. So yeah, Monthly Cycle is a social riding group for women, for trans men and women, and for non-binary or gender diverse people. It was started in 2021. Jesse and Colleen and myself kind of found each other previous to 2021. Jesse's and my friendship was sort of building around bikes, and then we went to coffee outside. We found Colleen, started talking about bikes, and we started spending a lot of time together riding and camping. And this idea was kind of born out of a couple of different things that we identified. One was just a selfish desire for more friends that rode bikes, maybe more friends that looked like us or had experiences like us or weren't cis men. And so what the monthly cycle started as was a very simple monthly social ride. And those rides, we just have one slide, by the way, so you're just going to look at this one slide for a couple more minutes. Those monthly rides are really relaxed, very social, very chill. They are no drop rides, and people from any experience level are welcome and able to come to them. We focus on
exploring different parts of the city, but we try to keep, we also spend a lot of time thinking about our routes, and we try to make them very like accessible. We try to, like limit the number of big hills in them. We try to maybe explore different parts of the city. We call our rides snack forward, and we do our best to like have a snack stop. And like some of the other groups, we really try to make sure that all of our events are free. We've been very, very lucky to have the support of a number of different funders. So often we'll do like picnics and stuff on those monthly rides. Those are going to be starting back up in April, and we normally do them from April until October, kind of weather depending. So keep an eye on our Instagram for that. Mixed in with that, like bread and butter of the monthly cycle, is some different offerings. We do like workshops on occasion, or like partner with other groups. You will find us at Coffee Outside a lot of the time. And in the past, we've done like fat bike clinics. We did a really awesome intro to mountain biking clinic. But the other big thing that we do and are very, very passionate about is a annual bike camp out. And so the photos on this slide are from our bike camp out. We do that in September. We call it the full moon camp out. Most of the folks that come on it are have never been bike camping before, which is just so amazing for so many reasons. We take those folks camping from Dartmouth. We ride out to Porter's Lake, spend the night in Porter's Lake, and we bike back. And we find lots of different ways to like support people if it's their first bike camping experience. We lend them gear. We pay for the campsites and the food, and so we like prepare food on the in the evening. And yeah, it's just a fantastic trip. It's a really like special experience, and like the group rides, like what really makes a monthly cycle is just how like wonderful and sweet all the people that come to everything that we put on. It really makes the experience and is really, yeah, just very special. I forget, I'm sure there were so many other things that I wanted to say. Something with regards to the camp out and how lucky we've been to get a lot of support through grant funding is that mostly through one grant with MEC, we've been able to start a gear library. And so it's been pretty informal in the last couple of years. And anyone that like identifies as someone under that umbrella of the monthly cycle, you just have to have come to one of our events. And so you've signed our waiver and you can borrow gear from us. And this year it's going to be launched like a little bit more formally on a website and through like the My Turn platform. So we're feeling really excited about that. Yeah, really jazzed to be returning to our monthly rides. There will definitely be one next month, and you can keep an eye out on our Instagram. It's the monthly cycle HFX. We don't currently have a website, but we're working on one. And that's our email address. And yeah, anything else? Okay. I'm sure there were a couple other things, but yeah, get in touch, come to our rides, or tell people about our rides and the camp out, and we'd love to have you out. It really feels like an honor whenever people like trust us to, lead a silly little ride, and we've made so many great friends doing it. So thanks.
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. My name's Ethan. I think a fair amount of you know who I am. Pretty active in the cycling world and a pretty avid critic of HRM's infrastructure. If you follow my Instagram, I complain a lot about bike lanes. And so I get the pleasure of presenting for Cycling Nova Scotia as their active transportation planner. So I have a bit of justification to my complaints. At least that's what Dalhousie's degree would say. So today, talking about Cycling Nova Scotia. So we kind of like are this large organization in a sense. We're this publicly funded nonprofit. So we dip our hands in a lot of areas, everything from trying to connect the large provincial blue route to helping smaller communities across Nova Scotia develop active transportation networks. We also dip our hands in the community side of things. So we're kind of known primarily for the sports side, but we work a lot in trying to help create community engagement, whether that's women-focused rides, having chapters across the province, or funding groups who are looking at like repair. And a lot of that that partnership comes in trying to promote cycling, the thrill, and the practicality of it. So Cycling Nova Scotia has two sides. A lot of people know Cycling Nova Scotia for the sports side. They host a lot. They allow communities to engage in a very national side of things, or sport is a driving factor to a lot of funding. But the excitement is, while sport is the more glorified top end of that, it helps fund a lot of the activism that comes to the cycling world, where I get to sit in. So Cycling Nova Scotia, we have two kind of departments. We have the race and program development. So this is a lot of the community engagement we try to focus on. And then on the other side, we have the active transportation and advocacy side. So these two groups, we kind of work hand in hand, trying to bring in Cycling Nova Scotia's name and resources to communities across the province, and both develop a culture and the infrastructure. Part of build it as they will come, but when they come, there needs to be good culture around it. So part of the privilege that I have tonight is I get to focus about the fun, exciting parts of advocacy. I have the privilege to complain to the province on their dollar. So part of that is complaining and telling them where they need to build some stuff. So one of our projects is the provincial Blue Route, where we lobby the province to make sure that there are AT facilities connecting communities across the province. I think it's something about 3,000 kilometers is the goal of that. And we have about 500 of those kilometers built up connecting communities. My fun job is I get to go into these communities who don't typically have planning and transportation departments and help engage the residents to build a resident-focused transportation plan. So all this fun bits is I get to pull a background of best practice, throw it into some site plans, and then we try to convince whether it be the feds or the province to build the dang thing, so that people now get to cycle and enjoy their community in a non-vehicular fashion. But that involves needing a lot of partnerships. So we host the bike summit. We try to get like-minded cyclists to come around, share ideas, talk about the challenges and success stories of infrastructure, community building, and the whole world of AT. So I get to be friends or sometimes enemies with AT planners across the province, and share my perspectives, but also get to hear their perspectives and their solutions to build, ideally, a better cycling network in Nova Scotia. Now, we can't avoid that cycling is also a sport. There's times where we acknowledge that culture comes from the sport and the attraction of that. So Cycling Nova Scotia does a lot to help build the sports side, whether that be funding of trail networks, whether that be the organization of race events, and then sometimes in our attempts to get funding, the exclusivity of bike projects. So there is some mountain bike trails in Dartmouth that Cycling Nova Scotia controls. But the more exciting part that I like to favor is the community programs and rides. So we have multiple programs, whether that be Hop On to get young kids to learn kind of the rules of the road, learn how to be safe road users, to some of our Women on Wheels rides and organizations. We have the Ride and Shine coming up in June, which is a 2-day event in Truro, where it's going to be a women-only focus on making sure that they feel comfortable cycling, workshops and repair, and kind of that success story of, cycling has been a white male-dominated sport for a little bit, and so Cycling Nova Scotia wants to remember that we are an area of inclusivity, and we want to make sure that our options respect that. And I guess in theme of a date, I'm a bad date. I want you to give us some money for dinner, or in this case, a membership fee of $50. But that does come with some perks. One, you're insured. So whether you hit a pothole and are pretty annoyed at the province, or you get struck by a car, you are covered. You get to make sure that you have your medical bills covered. You get to make sure that you have your salaries covered. And then it helps promote our work, helps promote the improvement of infrastructure, the organization of community events, and getting cycling culture, a more mainstream idea in the province. And then it helps harness lots of work for our volunteers. So we do lots of trail maintenance. We try to give out grants for that to help keep parts of the Blue Network in good shape if we can't get the province to do so. And if we can, then, we're building away. And then lastly, we want to champion it being mainstream. So, we support the idea of cycle tourism, sustainable mountain bike networks, and the race scene, and, collaborative projects in municipalities. So to remember that, bike infrastructure isn't just for the larger of communities, it's for every community. And that's where we like to focus. So if you have any questions of the many programs we have, there's a beautiful list of the members that you saw, their lovely faces at the start. And that will be everything.
You can just go to the next slide.
Okay, eke out the time a little bit here while I get myself sorted. Palm cards, old school. Okay, my name's Ashley. I'm one of the Sustainable Transportation Coordinators at the Ecology Action Centre. We got a lot of programs. I'm going to be quick and try and be concise. We have Making Tracks since 2008. We have free online resources for pedestrian and cycling safety. It has a leader training model because we believe that if you have leaders in your community or in your school, then people are more likely to engage with them as opposed to just coming into a community, teaching things and then leaving. Having resources on hand is always great. SaneFX has a really high output of Making Track leaders through their outdoor education component of their teaching degree. And this year we're looking to partner with a second university to expand ahead of the physical activity strategy that's including Making Tracks within it. This year, the online component of training has been updated for ease of access for organizations, group ride leads, to ensure that there's a baseline understanding of road safety. It's called Safe Cycling 101. It's on our website. It's free. We have our online safe cycling videos that were created in 2021 that were based also on the Making Tracks training. There are 6 videos. They're subtitled in multiple languages. We generally focused on like gender and BIPOC and age representation in our videos, but we certainly acknowledge that in future videos, we need to do more for varied bike styles and different accessibility and ability options in our bikes. Bike again, it's been mentioned before. We've been going strong since the year 2000. It's on Charles Street, a DIY repair space. It's home to, of course, the Bike Again repair hours, also shifting gears hours for femme, trans, non-binary, and gender diverse folk, and Welcoming Wheels, which has newcomer focused hours as well. This year, we're supporting older volunteers to run the Bike Shed, which is daytime repair hours for over 50s. And they're repairing bikes for mobile outreach street health. So that's a really new and very exciting thing that's going on. Welcoming Wheels started in 2015, newcomer focused. They do kids bike gifting sessions. I've revamped the Earn a Bike series of things. So I can't hold my cards up because my hand shakes. So volunteers can upskill in exchange for a bike. That also includes a safe cycling course. The Bike Buddies national study wrapped up where a newcomer mentee would team up with a local mentor and sort of ride around town and basically familiarize people with local areas, creating more comfort in cycling and also a bit more of community building. The Pop-Up Bike Hub, it's in its 4th year, a trailer that travels around the province. It's going to be at the Central Library this weekend as part of the Junos. This year, we're going to continue to travel around the province to the Mi'kmaq and rural communities that face barriers to accessing bike repair tools and skills. Here they are, hard at work. It's a great time. The Pop-Up Bike Hub Mini, smaller version of the trailer on an electric cargo bike. We travel to local communities that are within a 45-minute bike ride of the EAC office on the peninsula. Also to communities facing barriers to bike repair service and skill building opportunities. This year, we're also continuing doing the same and focusing more on skill building in the communities that we visited for 3 years or more, just to build up that local capacity. We have our 1 meter share the road magnets, drawing attention to the 1 meter law. There's a few here. We don't have any French ones left, but there's English, Arabic, and Mi'kmaq ones. This year, we're looking at creating vinyl stickers because more cars are made of plastic. So we're finding a little demand for that. We do a bunch of policy work, which is continuing, basically holding all levels of government accountable to the things they say they're going to do. We provide input on various acts and strategies. And this year, there's going to be a big focus on automated speed enforcement and speed reduction. Nova Scotia's active transportation future. We have these wonderfully updated dashboard of maps online. They continue to be updated, and these track the active transportation progress and implementation of infrastructure across the province. The brains behind it, Ben Hammer, is here tonight if you have more questions. We have our Active Alliance website, which is a one-stop resource shop. Anyone can reach out. If you have resources from your various groups that you would like to put on this website, please let us know. My personal favorite is myth busting. If you can't articulate why licensing bikes is stupid, go here. It gives you a lot of great points. Youth AT leadership is we focus on youth mobility audits. It's an opportunity for youth to collect information and advocate for change that supports active transportation. And the youth perspectives are super valuable and often overlooked. Basically, our youth leadership stuff, it gives the opportunity for youth to access tools and resources to identify AT gaps in their community. And the reports that have been submitted to municipalities as a result of that have had really great success in informing active transportation planning and infrastructure. Lastly, we have iWalk and Winter Walk Day, basically where schools are encouraged to register and participate in organizing walking events or getting kids walking to school. They win prizes, so it's nice. This year we had 12,000 students across 128 schools participate. The end.
All right, so Kim Fry was supposed to be next. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it unless she's online. I did send her the Zoom link, but she has childcare issues. So I did put this slide together on her behalf. She is a big part of why this week is happening. She's organizing a bunch of events associated with the Junos regarding active transportation and sustainable transportation. And so Ashley just kind of alluded to this outside of the Central Library, Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday, Friday evenings, I believe, and Saturday, Sunday afternoons. There's going to be a climate stage. I think the setup will probably look similar to this, where the bike is powering some of the electronics for the music that will be played live. So come check that out. And there's also bike repairs at the same time, I believe. So lots of opportunities to get your bikes fixed, hear some music. This picture, I think, was taken at the open streets on Agricola last fall. So, you know, starting to see them around. They did have a festival planned for last summer. Unfortunately, I think it got rained out. I know she's trying to organize something more, so give them a follow on Instagram, pay attention to what's going on, and come check out the events happening this week. And if you want to reach out to Kim directly, you can contact me and I can give you her contact information. And lastly,
hi, it's so good to see everyone after hibernation. So thank you. And I will plug Halifax Bicycle Music Festival a little bit more. They posted on Instagram about a concert run by Music Declares Emergency Canada on Sunday at Dal that ended up being like one of the best concerts I've ever seen. It's so sweet. And the Thursday show, Moon Fruits, is playing. It's going to be lovely. They're one of my favorite Canadian duos. So you guys should check it out, see the kickoff of the climate stage. And I'm really excited to see what they do. But yeah, welcome to Bike Party. This is not an organization, but rather a lifestyle. You might recognize some of the people in this room in these photos from our inaugural bike party ride last October. So yeah, what's going on here? So the thing is, we already have bike parties here. We got I Light Halifax. That is an absolute bike party by a different name. There's bike parties all around Canada and the US and the world. In Toronto, Victoria, it's known by Moonlight Madness, I think. We got a lot in the US and then spreading into Europe too. So the idea is like a monthly or regular bike ride, nighttime, after rush hour. That's just social, super fun. A different route every time, different awesome playlists, loud music, lights on your bikes. Those are the key elements, plus an after party. If you think of the Kidical Mass ending at a playground and giving out prizes, your prize at the end is you get to have a beer with your friends and some pizza. So, yeah. The history of it is bike party stemmed from Kidical Mass in the US as a way to kind of expand into a combination of protest and party and embody the idea of safety in numbers and bicycle joy. So in Halifax here, we had our first ride in October, as I mentioned. We partnered with the Kidical Mass ride that happens every last Friday of the month, just to kind of build up a little capacity and awareness. As we know, in the summer, it can get exhausting to go to so many bike events, but the real point of this is that we all deserve to have a little break and have some fun. So the goal for the next rides is to really amplify the really fun, amazing community environment of I Light Halifax and the other rides going around Nova Scotia. Really emphasizing partnerships with Kidical Mass, with Monthly Cycle. And I mean, I think we all kind of shared each other's Instagram posts over the fall. And so keep that going. I successfully was able to infiltrate many bicycle groups after joining the Halifax community from moving from Washington, D.C., where a bike party was and remains my favorite part of living in the DC area. It's the best environment. It's so exhilarating and such a fun social activity. So yeah, new routes and local hangouts. We try new after party locations. The next ride, we're thinking April 18th approximately for a spring opener, and thinking quarterly for now, but a lot of cities do monthly rides. Boulder, Colorado even does weekly ones, and they have hills. So yeah, and just any help and advice people have for new routes. I know Halifax has some kind of geographical boundaries, so make it a little hard to do long rides, but every ride has a midpoint party, dance party at, so there was ours in the Oval last time. So different locations for that. Kids are absolutely welcome at any point of the ride, and the midpoint party is kind of a good opportunity to head off and let people have a point to join if they're late. Rides are approximately like 7:30 to 9:30 or 10 p.m. with the after party around 10. And just always looking for new partnerships, hoping to get more frequent rides and make new friends and just have fun together. So yeah, please follow Hali Bike Party on Instagram. Super fun to see everyone. And cannot wait for bike season this year. Thank you guys for organizing.
All right. Well, I'm super impressed that everyone was like sticking to time. That's amazing. Yeah, as you can see, it's going to be a very busy year. There's a lot on the go. Hopefully you walk away with this with some idea of a group you want to kind of, develop a relationship with, like an analogy to speed dating, right? Not every group's for everyone, but hopefully you can find something that kind of fits for you. One key person who's not here tonight because they're off doing bike events is Sarah Farias of Nova Scotia by Bike.
Supposed to mention that.
Okay. So you should definitely follow them on Instagram. They are really a big community, like kind of a central pivot point to this whole community. And they're kind of specializing right now in cycling experiences, and they're starting to get a bike brigade off the ground. So I just wanted to mention that. Kidical Mass as well did not speak tonight. Their Instagram suggests there is a ride coming up soon, so pay attention to that. That's actually was my introduction to this community, as I went to one of the first Kidical Mass rides and realized how awesome it was to bike with so many people at the same time. And there's, other individuals and stuff going on, so just pay attention. Halifax by Bike has an interesting YouTube channel where they kind of really go into depth on some of the infrastructure challenges we have in Halifax. Tip to Tip has registration open right now if you're interested in doing a really long ride. And, there's probably more that I missed. So feel free to discuss in the room. If you have other things going on, you can let us know as well. Of course, thank you. So we did have a volunteer help me with organizing this. She's not here tonight. Sherilyn Harrison put together the registration. It's great to work with new people always. Sarah Farias, again, always involved in social media. Kim Fry for kind of, bringing the communities together. All the cycling groups who are here, I think almost every group I emailed was like, yes, we'll do it, which is amazing. Attendees, we have a bigger turnout than I expected, which is awesome. And some sponsors, not necessarily for tonight, but for the week in general, especially the ride that we're going to do on Saturday afternoon, the 5K Cafe and Halifax Cycles. You can go to the website, check out the other events happening this week. Email me if you have questions. Again, coffee outside on Thursday, Climate Stage and EAC Bike Hub Thursday through Sunday. And then, as I mentioned, HCC is going to do a ride on the trail on Saturday with free e-bike test rides at the end provided by Halifax Cycles. So we'll start kind of near the golf course there. Can't remember the name. Can also pick people up along the way, and we'll end at the 5K Cafe where there will be snacks and the e-bike rides. So weather's looking okay. It's looking a little cold, but nothing compared to the last few months. So yeah, with that, I haven't really been monitoring the questions. We can look at that in the chat, and then also potentially if there's any that have come up on Slido. So if there's questions for specific groups, we might need people to kind of like quickly come up and answer, just because I think this is the only place where they'll be able to hear you.
Dal Bike or Cycle Nova Scotia. There's a couple for Dal Bike and Cycle Nova Scotia. Just if you can answer it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe yeah, didn't really think this part through, that we only have one microphone, but the question is, has Cycling Nova Scotia considered making WOW more inclusive by changing the name and including trans and non-binary folk?
Yes, it's in the works. It is aware that WOW is not as progressive as it could be. And there is internal discussions on that. Without revealing too much, there is something to be released soon. So yes.
And there is another question about the blue route, asking about when it's a shoulder versus
Oh yeah.
how much of the blue route is just signage on highways where riders are expected to use the shoulder.
Yes, so this is a fun battle I have. It's run by a few formulas about traffic volumes, but typically you are supposed to see a 2-meter wide shoulder. If anything is going to be a separated facility, traffic volumes have to be higher, or it has to be down a major truck route. So some of the blue route planned in like Cape Breton with truck routes to Sydney are planned to have full multi-use paths as separate facilities. And in areas with lower traffic volumes, then you are going to see a bit of shoulder. But it's not to say that Cycling Nova Scotia isn't lobbying the province to advance the widths of those shoulders past the minimums of 1.8 to get into those 2s and 2.5 wide meter shoulders. Yeah.
Related. Does the province have to actually mark where the end of the shoulder is? The improved shoulder?
The improved shoulder would have to go from where the line's delineated to where the shoulder cuts.
No, a signage beforehand to let you.
Oh,
know when
yeah.
it's ending.
There is modifications happening right now to where signage is being introduced. So there is a discrepancy there of like when it's indicated as the blue route ending and starting. But we should see more of that into this year with better accuracy.
Thank you.
Maybe someone from Dal Bike. There's a couple questions. So someone wants to know, how can I get involved in the Dal Bike Society?
Yeah, so we're having our AGM this Thursday, and there's, aside from like being a student society, there is 2 open positions for like community members if you were interested in getting involved in the society. And then also while I'm up here, I wanted to shout out that the Ecological Action Centre is doing Earth Fest in April, and that we're going to be hosting a ride and a workshop then. So to look out for that too.
Also, as a yes, and the recycle program, we mentioned that the bikes get refurbished and sold. That is like volunteers, a lot of whom are students, but like you.
Yeah, we have like refurbishment nights where we work on those bikes. So yeah.
Someone also wants to know the hours of the repair hut.
Yeah, so it's on our website. It also is on, right now it's not up to date. We just updated them like Monday, so it's not on Google, but normally like what Google says is like we update that as well. So it's 12 to 2 every weekday and 7 to 9 every weekday in the night. And then on the weekends, it's 10 to 12. So
That's all for now.
There's a couple questions in the room though.
Oh, for Dal. Okay.
So University Avenue in Dow is basically the only street in Halifax that has the dubious distinction of formerly having had bike lanes. Is there any advocacy that you do within the university to try to improve the bike infrastructure on campus?
yeah, we work with the Office of Sustainability sometimes, and we don't work in too much of the details, but I know that they are working on a plan, and they've like showed us the plan, and then we make like little suggestions and comments. So we're like in the conversations. Yeah, do you have any?
Yeah, we can always do more. I think it's one of the like, as like a bricks and mortar student institution, there's so much we can do, but with being like student volunteers, there's only so much we can do at the same time. But if this is something you're like passionate driven about, like we would love like
Connect
involvement.
you.
Yeah, because
but-
we're like I don't know if we're the dot or the line between connecting them, but like, yeah.
We had a survey recently, I think it was the sustainability, a survey about, I think it was mainly about commuting on campus and bike parking, but it also provided comment boxes to talk about things.
And then there's also a survey about the bike racks and like them being shaded and stuff, because I know there's like a program in the sustainability faculty where they have to do research, and a lot of them do research about bikes, so we kind of help connect them with like to get their survey out there, and like we promote that kind of research, and we so we are involved in those conversations, but yeah, we're definitely haven't been like pushing it as much. Our focus right now has really been on the Sexton C-Can container, but
I was saying we'd love to do more in that area. Probably.
You mentioned that you would want to do more at the Sexton campus, but have you done anything at the Truro campus of Dalhousie?
Actually, as part of the Sexton C-Can like satellite proposal, we're pretty limited as like the student institution because like the Truro being like an entirely separate campus.
Yeah.
Like we've inherited it. Like again, it's one of those like we really want to be able to, and like fortunately, like we've just applied to a provincial like funding thing, and if the project goes through, we'll be able to
provide some funding to Truro. And we've told everyone that we know could connect us to Truro, that if they have questions about starting a program, that we're open to those conversations. We can't really like implant or reach out because we wouldn't know what's going on over there, but we've definitely made it known that like we're here to help if like people over there want to start up a program.
Nicola, there's a question for monthly cycle. There's another down for that. Oh, okay. And then HCC, there are a couple of questions for Halifax Cycling Coalition, and that's all from Slido. How long are the monthly cycle rides?
Oh, great question. Yeah, the monthly rides are very short. They're 10 to 15 kilometers in length. I should have mentioned that. They're at like a very social, no drop pace and time. We meet. We're going to adjust a little bit this year to be a little friendlier to work schedules. We used to meet at 5:45 and we'd roll out around 6. We're going to meet at 6 this year, see if that's a little easier for folks. And then we hang out at the start for a while, leave probably 15 minutes after we meet in a park. Yeah.
Can you explain what no drop rides are?
Yeah, absolutely. No drop meaning that we ride for the entire length of the ride at the pace of the slowest rider. So no one gets dropped, gets left behind on the ride. We all ride as a group. We stay as a group. If there's a mechanical, which like does happen quite often, you know, someone has a flat tire or something explodes on a bike, we all stop and we like safely move off the road, and we use it as a learning opportunity. But we are really like the goal of this ride is to all stick together no matter the pace. They're really slow rides. I'd say we like really take our time, maybe like an hour to ride 10 kilometers. We'll stop, and it's usually at the end that we do a little picnic, or we'll go to a patio, or we'll have some kind of snack arranged for that. And one last thing that I want to say is that I forgot to mention that we're going to try, at the request of some of our core riders and some other people in the community that maybe have had an appetite and desire to try some like longer, faster rides. And we're going to try in collaboration with Ashley, one of the organizers of the Tip to Tip, and one of the Long Alley folks, to lead a series of rides this spring, in addition to these monthly rides. It will always be there, will always be no drop. But we are going to try to lead, or to like loosely organize along with Ashley, some longer, faster rides that will be hoping to inspire people a little bit to potentially participate in events like the Tip to Tip. So they have the 600-kilometer ride and the 1,200-kilometer ride. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you haven't made it out to a monthly cycle ride because it doesn't really totally look like your thing, we're also going to do that this spring.
Are those longer rides also like touring, or are they like no gear?
What do you mean touring?
Like Tip to Tip, you're carrying your gear.
Oh,
so is it
no
geared towards
gear.
that, or is it like...
I mean, they're going to be just like one day. They're going to start with a 50K ride on a Saturday, and then every 3 weeks they'll graduate to 50, from 50 to 100 to 150, and then a 200-kilometer ride. So I don't think most folks will be carrying gear. If you want to do the Tip to Tip, it'd be really rad if you carried gear. Those rides won't be they won't be no drop, but it'll still be like a really like social collaborative space that will just try to push people a little bit to challenge themselves, and will wait at the end for folks. I think is how it's gonna go. If you have any questions about those rides, though, we haven't started them yet, so feel free to email us or DM us on Instagram.
There's a couple of questions. Yeah, very good. There's a couple of questions for the Halifax Cycling Coalition. So Dave, our board chair, is gonna answer. So someone wants to know any rules to keep in mind for new international bike riders who aren't familiar. I think we've got something.
So we have these Halifax cycling handbooks. Oops, camera. The Halifax Cycling Handbook. And we have this in 7 languages. So we have French, Spanish, Arabic, Farsi, Mi'kmaq, and Mandarin, as well as English. There's some on the table there. If you have people you know who would like it in a different language, or you know somewhere they could be distributed, we have a pretty big supply of them, so we'd be happy to get them to you to distribute. We already distributed, I think, 700 in Mi'kmaq to Cape Breton, where they're distributing them to all the Mi'kmaq communities on the island. So that's pretty awesome. We're pretty pleased with that.
Okay, this one's a comment and a question. It is frustrating that the infrastructure is not keeping up with the number of cyclists. What is HCC hearing from the city about a slow pace of change?
We're so frustrated too. In terms of what we're hearing, frankly, not much. We're reaching out in many different capacities to different groups within the city. We actually have a pretty good relationship with all the planning people. But that's very forward looking, like, we probably won't see those results for 10, 20 years, but still good to get in on the ground floor. With the active transportation people, I just started a regular meeting with David McIsaac, the manager there. So we're trying to build a relationship, and hopefully that will yield better communications, and hopefully we'll be able to convince them to make a few changes that will speed things up. But I think the single most important thing is our municipal election subcommittee. We're going to try to make a difference in this election, and we're just developing our tactics now. We'd love to work with other groups on that. So yeah, if you're interested in that work, or anything to do with convincing the city to do better, then you can always send an email to contact@cyclehalifax.ca, but our specific committee on that is advocacy@cyclehalifax.ca, and we're always looking for more volunteers. We form dynamic sort of subcommittees that are project based, and then we have some ongoing subcommittees as well, and it's just a team environment where we just work together on the problems.
Question for Kidical Mass and for Matt from Legal Road Users, and then Justine, maybe you can answer this question about Bike Brigade. It's really, I think.
Oh, no, I can answer that one.
Yeah. Okay.
You said it was that, so convenient.
So for Kidical Mass, someone's wondering, are there any learn to ride classes or camps in Halifax for kids that are wanting to start biking?
The short answer is no. The long answer is that we've heard about making tracks and hop on tonight from 2 other organizations. And if you can find somebody who is trained to provide those programs, maybe via your school or a community group, that those are options. I have been sending that feedback to 311 because I would really like to see a summer on the Oval with Learn to Ride, just like they do Learn to Skate on the winter for the Winter Oval. So that would be my other suggestion, is to send that feedback to 311. I don't know if anybody else knows of anything, but we've had this question before. So if anybody else knows of other options.
I don't know about that.
I would have to defer it to our project manager.
Not like something someone can sign up for, it like goes.
There's typically chapter leaders and communities, and then you get hooked up with one of them, and then they'll host depending on the route. I don't know if there's a chapter leader in Halifax. I don't have them running, but I can figure that out.
Okay, I haven't seen anything published locally for the hop on, and so far what I think that I have been following it, they're more rural based. Yeah. In Halifax specifically, there's a couple of clubs, one in Dartmouth. It's cycling more like, it's not how to get around the city, but it is how to get a kid on a bike with other kids, and it's run through, I can try, we can put the information up there. I can't spell the name of this group, but they're telling my girl off to who's, I don't know who. No, yeah, they run a single track series, and then some children learn to ride in Dartmouth, or at least they did last year.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But yeah, acknowledging that this has been a long time used gap in Halifax and like across the province for a long, long time, and we like, as the Ecology Action Centre, like, yeah, we've obviously noticed that like making track starts at yes, you can ride, and then it goes into safety. And if anyone wanted to become a making track leader and learn some skills, like we have great tips and tricks, but we don't have like a how to and like where to kind of get that started. And we would like love any other organization would like to be created and take that on, or yes, put out complaints to 311 and say like, this is like really integral to getting around. That would be cool. I thought I had no point, but I don't. But it's noted. It's been a long time.
So Matt, how can you ride for Bike Brigade?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked how you can ride for Bike Brigade. Something that I forgot to mention is one thing that we're doing in the Legal Road Users as well, is we're providing a lot of riders initially for the Bike Brigade. Even if you don't want to join Legal Road Users, sorry.
Maybe explain a little bit.
Bike Brigade is essentially Uber for good. Uber Eats for good. It's essentially when charities need to get food places and they don't want to pay delivery services, they say, hey, do you have any volunteers with bikes available to get food from this one place to the other because people are hungry? And we're like, yep, or no, we don't have it available. So it'll be one of those two. If you sign up to be a rider, which you can do at Nova Scotia by Bike, Sarah's putting out a form where you can sign up. It's on our Discord as well. You can put out a form to sign up to be a rider. Yeah, you can find it on our Discord easier because I know that, legalroadusers.ca. The form is in our public Clubhouse channel. You can find it there. That is not affiliate. I mean, we have a road captain who's like coordinating our riders within the Bike Brigade. However, the sign up form in our Discord is not related to us. That is Sarah. So you can just sign up through there because I know that one offhand. But yeah, so that's how you ride for the Bike Brigade.
And then a legal road users question.
Yes.
What is the first protest you have planned?
Well, that'll depend on which one our lawyer thinks is most viable. But no, so one of just to give an idea of what they kind of are, like the MVA says that you can take the lane if you're a cyclist, and the MVA says Motor Vehicle Act says you have to take can take the lane as a cyclist. It says you have to, ride in single file. And so the idea that started this club in the first place was, hey, wouldn't it be really funny is if we got everyone who commuted from Cole Harbour to do so in single file on their bike at 5 kilometers an hour on Portland Street, and just see if we could get arrested and change the MBA. Because it's like, well, we have to arrest you. Why? Because, and then that's where it ends. And then you can have that conversation in the court. Anyways. So what our lawyer, we came up on Tuesday. We have regular meetings on Tuesdays. Last Tuesday, we had a big meeting and we came up with a bunch of ideas. The one that probably seems the most viable right now is parking spots on places that are supposed to be bike lanes are probably gonna, I don't know, maybe be that because you can rent them for free on the weekend. So yeah. I mean, if you have a car technically, but they don't charge, so.
That's all the questions from Slido. I don't know if there's others from the chat, from the Zoom, or over to you, Justine.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the chat. If there's a few there, we can take them. If not, we can end and just kind of open it up for discussion. We have the room until 8:45, but let's say 8:30, because we have to really be out of here by 8:45. So people are welcome to stay. I think there are a few snacks at the back. There's some handouts and stuff, and just kind of connect with each other. I think there's a question there.
Yes, I'm not that, but like from Instagram, it says it's every last Friday of the month, so I think you can expect that.
Yeah, and so I think they had posted a question about should it be next Friday, which is Good Friday, or should it be April? And I think the responses were next Friday. I just haven't seen an official release that it's going to happen. So I would say just pay attention to social media for that. Yeah.
I put it in the chat, but I just wanted to say it to everyone in the room. If you need to get the word out about any of your events, we'd be happy to put it in our newsletter. We chase a few groups for information, but you can always email it to communications@cyclehalifax.ca, and we get the newsletter out once a month. We were on a very regular schedule right at the beginning of the month, but it's been a little dicey lately, so but at least once a month. And yeah, happy to help you get the word out.
All right, I think we'll end there. I just threw up the results of the word cloud. Seems like Kidical Mass is front and center there, which is awesome. It's so great. Please go out, Marshall, if you can, but just go and enjoy it as well. I think there was.
Are you drawing?
Oh yeah, so for people in the room, I'm going to end the call, but for people in the room, we do have a quick door prize. I don't know how many we'll draw for, and then people can just kind of start to mingle. All right, so I am going to end the Zoom call. Thank you all for coming. And if the recording worked, we will post it, pending any technical difficulties. Thanks.